Smoke. OVS. Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia.
This podcast is brought to you by the Kansas City BBQ Store, the official provider of barbecue supplies to listeners of Pitmaster. And you don't want to miss out on this discount from the Kansas City BBQ Store. From smokers and fuel to rubs and sauces, the Kansas City BBQ Store has everything and anything you could possibly want. Make the Kansas City BBQ Store your one-stop shop for all your outdoor cooking needs. As a listener of the OVS Pitmaster podcast, you can get 10% off of your order this spring by using the code PITPOD, P-I-T-P-O-D, all caps, for online orders at www.thekansascitybarbecuestore.com. Alrighty, we're here for another episode of Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. And this week's guest, we're going to dive down a little. We're going to stay in the same road, but we are going to dive down into some different avenues. I have with me the BBQ Ninja, Craig Verhage. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great, Luke. Doing great. It's such an honor to be on your podcast and just to be hanging out with you, man. I'm excited about it.
Well, and it was great getting to see you out there in Memphis. It was my very first Memphis in May, and was cooking with Bone Thugs and Barbecue and Joe Pierce and Michael Simon, and what an incredible experience and what an incredible festival, man.
Yeah, I tell you, I hate we didn't get to visit more. I hate, we did, wearing my corporate Craig hat at that, I trying to entertain folks from Royal Oak, folks from Home Depot, and all I was trying to do. I hate we didn't get to visit more, but the MBN, Memphis in May is what was my world championship, my cooking career. Like KCBS is a lot of guys, and the Jack Daniels is a lot of your KCBS folks, world championship. Well, Memphis in May was always mine. So, it's kind of like I've cooked 26 of the last 28 years at Memphis in May.
Wow.
Yeah, I missed Leslie's husband, Heath's. He had his graduation from medical school. We decided as a team we're all going to be there. We're like either all in one place or all in the other. We weren't going to split up. And then, of course, the COVID year. That's the 2 years I've missed Memphis in May. And so love being back there. Big family reunion, as you can see.
That's an incredible run, man. Wow.
Yeah.
So
I'm long in the tooth.
So I have this vision then, I guess, of maybe, I don't know how long you've been known as the BBQ Ninja, but maybe it was some sort of midnight thing with you prowling around and wearing all black in Tom Lee Park.
No, I mean, I can tell that story. It is, we started some 10, 12 years ago. We started as U-Bonds doing a lot more events and doing a lot more festival cooking and vending. And of course, you're outdoors, you're over grills, so I sweat a lot. And so I started wearing bandana. I don't sweat on the food. So I started wearing bandanas. Of course, you're outside too. So, you got the sun. You can't have a charcoal grill under a tent. So we're usually outside of the tent and in the sun. So I wore sunglasses, and we were actually cooking at the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party, and there was a film crew there that was doing a documentary on our team. And usually right before we really, I call it, game time, go into that, I put the bandana on, I put the sunglasses on, I get ready to go. And I was kind of off to the side doing that. And, I put the bandana on, put the sunglasses on, and turned around, and there's a guy that had a camera on me. And I looked at the camera, and the camera guy actually said, "The BBQ Ninja arises," And I immediately did a bow to the camera, threw it up, and but it's one of those that there in the very beginning, I didn't really embrace it. It was just kind of something here and there that was called to me. But Leslie and I went, and Leslie Scott of U-Bonds, the Barbecue Princess, we went to Australia to do an event over there, and we were actually in the airport, and I got a call from the Food Network saying that I got chosen to go on Chop Grill Masters. So I was like, oh wow, this is a huge opportunity fixing to be on a major network and all that. So Leslie and I started talking and about, branding and all that kind of stuff. Well, when I went to Australia, they introduced me there as the BBQ Ninja. And I started seeing the reaction that the people had, and the kids, really, really reacted to it. And actually had this guy like bring by this little figurine of this ninja. And I was like, there's something to this,
You gotta lean into it.
Right. So when I got back, I was like immediately changed all my social media I tried BBQ Ninja, and it was taken. Some guy, I guess over in New Zealand or something, saw me come over there and jumped on it. It was like, hey, I'll show this to you. And so I just went with the BBQ Ninja and changed all my social media. And then, of course, did the Food Network right then, and that's who they wanted on the Food Network. They wanted the BBQ Ninja. They didn't want Corporate Craig. That guy. Forget that guy. So went on there and did that, and it just kept rolling from there. Kept building.
That's awesome, man. That's a great. When stuff happens like that, you got to lean into it. One of the things that we got known for early on, before we were successful cooking, was we loved to have a good time and we loved to dance. And we'd always do Facebook live dancing videos and stuff. And we just did it because it was fun, and people always were like, hey, you going to dance? I'm like, well, it's sometime, So that's why we've just kind of leaned into it. So we've kept it going. We've got our own music now, and you got to do that kind of stuff.
Well, for me, having been in barbecue for so long, I was Gary Roark's mentor for U-Bonds, and I was always a team member of U-Bonds. And I guess my vision was, if U-Bonds ever goes away, well, I don't want to go away. So somehow in this barbecue world, I need to carve a little spot for me. I need to have something that I can carry on beyond if something happens to U-Bonds and it's gone, that I can still be in the barbecue world and I can still, have a brand and be active. So, that was something that I had to kind of grab a hold of and figure out, and got it figured out, thank goodness. And so that was another reasoning in really embracing and building that brand, was just the fact that I wanted to have a spot, because I plan on being in barbecue, for the rest of my life in some capacity.
Absolutely. What do you think's been the most surprising thing to come out of competition barbecue for you?
Well, it's really not surprising, but just in the fact that the people. I mean, that, Luke. I mean, the salt of the earth. I mean, it's the barbecue people, man, and it's what Poppy also ingrained in us, and having our front porch open to everybody, always welcoming everybody. And I mean, it's one big happy family. I mean, you may have a black sheep in there or two, but we know who they are, and we try not to keep them too close. But anyway, overall, it's just how receiving everybody is of you, and vice versa, and really where I'm at now is a little surprising, because I kind of had a goal and just worked hard to get there and achieve it.
And you keep mentioning this corporate Craig guy. That has to be a neat little cool thing that's come out of competition barbecue for you.
Well, actually, my vice president, kind of threw that out one time, and when I was at the home office, I showed up and, I had my hair parted and, I was all cleaned up, had khakis on and, button down shirt. And, he's like, is this corporate Craig look? And as soon as he said that, people were around, they were like, oh, corporate Craig. And, so it kind of gave me it's really funny. I use it as a joke a lot of times, but it's true too, because you kind of have your modes you're in there, but yeah, when I'm there and I'm doing the corporate Craig thing, I'm corporate Craig, and then when the bandana goes on, the sunglasses go on, barbecue ninja time.
Ninja. How long have you been with Royal Oak now?
I started in January of 2020.
Okay.
I was, kind of how all that came about is I sold insurance for 25 years, and I was doing insurance and barbecue all those years. And as I was cooking with Yvonne's, and really the last probably 5 of those years, we started actually having an ambassador capacity with Royal Oak, and Leslie and I would go to the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party and beyond. And matter of fact, we were trying to help Royal Oak with their social media before they even had a marketing division.
Wow.
Yeah, it was up till probably 6 or 7 years ago when they got bought by the current family. They didn't even have a marketing, department. So, just through, I guess, building that relationship with them, the new ownership, the new management, my brand, their brand, working together, me building my brand along with Royal Oak, and getting to know those guys, and they kind of had a position open, and kind of, I guess, created it to my strengths, and kind of, what I could do. And they never posted it. They just approached me with it. And, it was one of those things. I could retire the insurance business. I've done that 25 years. I was done with it. I just had to be more to life than sitting in an office, answering the phone, looking at a computer. So, and by that time I was doing more insurance stuff than I was, I was doing more barbecue stuff than I was insurance stuff. So, and it's also one of those, Luke, don't ask for something if when you receive it, you're not ready for it. So,
And we have very similar trajectories,
yeah.
in terms of that corporate experience. And I was a food lobbyist for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I haven't worn real pants in a long time. So I'm very, very happy. I call them hard pants.
Right.
So you have a lot of responsibilities with Royal Oak's ambassador program. Is that correct?
I do. That is part of my job duties, and that was another thing. With me coming in with Royal Oak, I already had strong relationships with the ambassadors, and already had strong relationships and people that could potentially be ambassadors, or just So yeah, very close relationships there.
It's one of the number one questions I think a lot of us people who've been doing this for a long time that we get from people starting out. The one of the first questions I always hear in every class I teach is, well, how do I get sponsorships? And from my perspective as a pitmaster, the first thing I tell them is you can't look at it that way. You're looking at it because you want product or you want money or something. You have to look at it as a partnership. Like, sure, you want these things from this company, but what are you going to do for that company? And I think that is something that a lot of people don't think that companies in the barbecue space look at a lot, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Almost on a daily basis, Luke. Almost on a daily basis, yeah. Well, you used the key word in that, and the key word is partnership, because what we do, we provide, but we also expect for that to be a return on investment for what we provide. And my job, and also Christy Lee, which is our digital marketing manager, our jobs are evaluated on the performance of these teams. That's what we have to convey and get them to understand is if we choose for you to be a part of our sponsorship program, we give you product, and we give you whatever gear and everything that we can provide for you to be successful. Then we get evaluated on your success. If you get this stuff and you're not out there competing, you're not out there posting, you're not out there representing the brand, you're not out, then they come back and look, as well as I do, you can get numbers on anything and everything these days.
Absolutely.
Social media wise, competition wise, you cannot hide anymore. Those days are way over. You're not just a name on a piece of paper, but we we evaluate this on a weekly basis. And so it is being viewed, it's being looked at. So when it comes back in my evaluation and, we have these teams that are, the bottom third, well, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, they're going to say, okay, but it's also our job to convey to them, hey, you need to pick it up, or, we need you to do better, or, something like that. So, but we try to be as informative to these teams as possible. We do a webinar at the beginning of the season.
Very cool.
We do a PowerPoint presentation with a webinar. I may be giving some of our secrets away because some of these other competitors have stepped up their game, but that's good. That's good. That's good for barbecue.
It makes everybody better. It makes everybody better. Yeah.
What is better? What is good for barbecue is helping these teams, and when you help these teams, do more, be stronger, then it's just good all the way around. But we have times our teams can get into these webinars. We have a different time set, like 3 or 4 different ones, and they can get in there, and we do a PowerPoint presentation of our year, what we expect, what we look at, competition wise, what we look at social media wise, hashtags to use. So because we got services that track this stuff, and so there's not going to be any at the end of the year. Well, we didn't know that. Well,
yeah, you did. One of the other things I try and convey is be a good citizen. We're all part of this barbecue culture, and I think that's don't be out there flaming people and going crazy on social media. That's not any brand does not want that. No, and like you said earlier, we look at that. Not only that, I don't have to look at it, Luke. It gets sent to me. Things that are maybe, not or negative towards our brand or even negative towards another brand, I get sent this stuff. And I know who's out there doing what. It's not because I'm out there, doing investigations or anything. It's just the nature of what I do. People are going to send this to me, and I'm going to know. Because that's something, like you said, that I have is a really, really good network of people out there that are a part of our program, that's a part of our brand, that knows what we're looking for, that knows what it's like or what we expect to be in the Royal Oak family. And I can reach out to the West Coast, I can reach out to the East Coast, the North, South, East, West, everywhere in between, and talk to a person that knows this team, that's competed against this team or this person, and they know what we're looking for, and they'll tell me, hey, they'll be good for the brand or they will not be good for the brand. Right.
And I'm going to tell you, that's going to make a decision more than looking at numbers on a piece of paper quicker than anything.
Man, corporate Craig is busy. I can't even imagine.
There was 3 of me, Luke.
This podcast is brought to you by BBQData.com. BBQData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BBQData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BBQData.com. Let's switch back to Ninja Craig. I like Ninja Craig a little better. Okay. The Barbecue Ninja.
Yeah, let's go to that guy.
So you've been doing this for... You've been doing this for a long time. What's some advice that you would give to a smart, young cook that's about to enter the real world of competition barbecue?
That's a great question. Because me entering, there was a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of mistakes, a lot of horrible barbecue cook, a lot of learning, just on our own. And now you've got access to so much information, so quickly. I mean, there's a lot of you guys that do tell-all classes that, man, that just absolutely take the learning curve out. I mean, you've got the resources to be good quick. And it's like anything else, it takes money to make money. And spend the money, get into these classes, get educated, and know what you're doing really quick. Meat's too expensive to ruin these days, 'cause I ruined a lot years ago. And so, yeah, that's the biggest advice. Just get out there and learn as much as you can. And if you got, you got teams maybe that you look up to, and figure out what they're doing, be it on their competition cook, or if they are brand representing, or just, figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it. And because chances are they've made the mistakes already that you can kind of cut out and not have to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny about the learning curve changing. In the 12 years I've done this, when I started, there might have been one or two classes, and I didn't even know there were classes. And then I got offered one from Mark Gibbs with Checkered Flag 500. He had bought a seat for Chris Hart from IQ's class, and he couldn't go. And he goes, "Do you want to go do this?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." Ended up going up there, and it changed my entire life. It was just, I was like, how did you even get calls? Like, not knowing 90% of this shit, it really, it changed.
Yeah, and because there's so much to it. I mean, be it barbecue or be it the steak cooking or whatever, there's just so much to it that you can cook great barbecue in your backyard. You can cook great steaks in your backyard. But when you walk into this competition world, there is so many, things that they expect and that the judges are looking for that you have no idea about. You just know what you like to cook in your backyard and what your family likes. Well, that's not going to do well when in this box and when it goes in front of these judges, because that's a totally different world. So, like you said, yeah, you cut that learning curve right on out and not cook a lot of bad barbecue like I did before you start getting it figured out. But I was always, I was one of those guys that was gravitated to older cooks. Like my mentor Gary Roark, and then I'd walk around the park and find Pat Burke, or I'd find Mike Mills, or find some of those guys that Skip Steele and some of these guys have been around and that knew what they were doing. Well, they don't mind you hanging around and talking to you and explaining what they're doing, and so. I learned a lot about barbecue, but I also learned a lot about life from those guys. And, and how to treat people and how to, just live in this barbecue world and all of us have a good time at it.
One of my favorite interviews I've done was with Pat Burke.
Yeah.
Just an incredible man.
Seeing him in Memphis in May this year was, it just, I'll seek him out. I know he's there. I know he's from here. I know I got to find him. And I'm blessed to be able to judge the Jack Daniels every year. And he's always there, judging and we get to catch up and visit there. But he's always, in Memphis is he, for many years, he was our next door neighbor. He was Ubon's next door neighbor. And so, we got a lot of time to sit around and visit and really get to know him. And just a great guy. Wonderful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, since you've been around for so long, I can ask an old man this question. What is missing from competition barbecue these days?
That's a even really good question, because a lot of the sides of the tents these days have come down, so to speak. Back when I first started, man, you got there and the sides of the tents went up, but now you kind of got people going into the trailers, so it's the same but different. But there is a lot more sitting around the fires these days and visiting on the Thursday nights or the Friday nights before it really gets down to business for the competition part. Used to, man, back when we started, you had rivals, and I mean, it was serious. But that all kind of lightened up, and now what I like seeing in barbecue that is the families are a
Yes.
part of the barbecue culture in the barbecue world. Back when I started, man, it was a man's game. I mean, it just really was. And now you've got all these women that have started wonderful barbecue careers and wildly successful. And that's something we're big in Royal Oak is the family, the females, all races, all genders. I mean, we mix it all up. I mean, because our ultimate goal is to be in everybody's backyard, and we can't be selective in who we have represent us and who we want to represent us. So seeing the families come in is huge. And we're a family owned company, so we're big about that. We love seeing the kids' cues, and we love seeing our teams be successful from the top down. And this next generation is very vital and very important to our sport and what we do. So we want to get out there and really support that. We're seeing now the high schools having programs.
Absolutely.
So I've been approached by 2 or 3 of those mentors for high school programs. Yeah, what I do, I send them charcoal, I send them product. Like, yeah, get out. We got to have that.
There was actually an article, I think it was either yesterday or this morning on ESPN about competition barbecue down in South Texas.
Yeah,
And high school teams. And I was like, this is, the fact that ESPN chose to publish that means that barbecue rode a wave a little bit with Pitmasters, and it kind of tailed off with COVID, and now maybe it's starting to come back up into the forefront. So that would be great. And to read that article, I read the whole thing, which for my attention span is a little difficult sometimes.
I haven't yet, so don't ruin it for me. But
I won't.
Yeah,
you need to check that out. In which everyone's checked you out. Everyone's seen the videos. They've seen you doing all the BBQ Ninja stuff. Tell me, what are your favorite tools for barbecue that are $100 or less that can really help people out in their game?
You got to have good product as far as meat. You want quality there. I'm one of those that almost as a joke, tell somebody, hey man, if you can give me a metal coffee can and a grate, I can figure out how to cook most anything, So I would say a great grill, but you need something functional there. And of course, great charcoal to cook in it. But there's a lot of stuff out on the market now that help, make things easier. I may stray off a little bit of the exact question, but when we look at pellet grills now, I mean, that's introducing a whole nother genre of people into cooking and into barbecue, because it's made it easier. I mean, we're traditional guys. I mean, you and I, we're attend the fire, stick burners or what have you. But man, I got 3 pellet grills, and everything has its place. And I preach, when I'm talking about barbecue, the only wrong way to do barbecue is not do it at all.
Agreed.
That's the wrong way. Now, if you're trying, whether it be a pellet grill and offset, a Weber kettle, or a Hasty Bake, or a Prima, whatever, as long as you're trying, you're going to figure it out, but you're also putting food on your family's table. You're being successful at barbecue. And the pellet grills, like you said, have made it easier. You can produce a quality product off that pellet grill, and you don't have to babysit it. And that was one of the reasons we came out with 100% charcoal pellet was, hey, we're staying true to our charcoal roots, having 100% charcoal pellet, but we're also getting into that pellet market that is growing faster than any other market. So, that brought us into it, and it's a fantastic product. I mean, it really is. It's the only one on the market too, so you gotta like
That's
that.
cool. Yeah. Do you have any habits or rituals or superstitions or routines that you have to do during a competition?
Ah, man, I need my bandana here. I got my sunglasses. See, I need my bandana. That's for us. We don't do as many competitions anymore. We do Memphis in May, which was last weekend or weekend before last, and I tell you, even with that, Luke, been doing it so long, and you said you interviewed Aaron and Claire, her sister, and Jacob, which is my mentor, which is Poppy's grandson. We've handed Leslie and I've handed all that knowledge and from Beeve that is that's Aaron and Claire's dad. I mean, he's one of the best whole hog cookers in the world. Well, they're doing it now. Aaron, Claire, and Jacob and this next generation are handling it, and they're doing it now. And I'm off doing corporate Craig stuff, doing tours with Home Depot and doing this, that, and another. And Leslie's, that's the barbecue princess, man. I mean, she's doing princess things, so and entertaining people and all that. So they're in there, man. They're prepping these hogs. They're making this thing happen. And we kind of get in there during the presentation and during the blind box build and kind of all do it together, but really that prepping of that hog and getting it on and getting it going and sitting up with it all night long, that's that next generation doing that. But really for us, not doing it that much anymore. We do more events and vending and doing that, and that's a lot of fun. I mean, we kind of got to a crossroad, Ubon's did, where we were like, okay, we've kind of done our thing in the competition world, and Ubon's had products, and you go to a cook-off, everybody's got their own rub, everybody's got their own sauce, everybody's got their their own stuff. So we wanted to put that in front of tens of thousands of people. Well, you do that at barbecue events and venues.
Yeah.
And so we took that route, and the Big Apple Barbecue Block Party kind of introduced us to that world, and so that's really what we do now. The Windy City Smokeout in Chicago and Hogs for the Cause in New Orleans, and we travel around, and Leslie was doing Denver Q this past weekend in Denver, and so the Q events, and so and charity events also is really what I like to do and concentrate on a lot. I did one out in New York last month, cigar, bourbon, and barbecue at Handsome Devil up there in Newburgh, New York. And then we did Pig Beach, the Chef Jeff Menschner Foundation, and up there at Pig Beach. And then you got the Firebox Initiative at Southern Soul with those guys. And then, I can go on and on. It's what's the one in Charleston that Anthony does? Holy Smokes.
Yeah.
He does one at Holy Smokes, and it benefits Hogs for the Cause and a couple of other charities. And so I really love seeing barbecue go into that. I know there's several out in Texas that those guys do. Troubadour, I think, is one, but a lot of those now are centered around charities, and so and we send a lot of Roll-Up sends a lot of product to those different charities and charitable events because we love to support those and be a part of them too. So
very cool.
Part of it, yeah.
Awesome, man. I feel like we could talk for hours.
I was going to say, we can go Corporate Craig an hour, then we can go Barbecue Ninja an hour.
Well, let me hit you with these rapid fire questions here as we wrap up.
All right.
What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
That somebody can win one competition and they're a grand champion, pitmaster, world champion.
There you go.
Well, I mean, I know it's rapid fire, but like I said, old school, when I was growing up, the word pitmaster was your Mike Mills, your Pat Birch, your Gary Rowarts, your guys that had been in the game for a long time that earned that by, a lot of bruises and a lot of lumps.
No, absolutely. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
Post competition, I like to eat Chinese food. I do, and during a competition or during an event, I like two things. I like a pronto pup, and I like some nachos with just yellow cheese.
What is a pronto pup?
But that's so funny. We had this discussion in May because in the South you have a pronto pup, and you get away from here, it's a corn dog. Yeah, and so I think in the South they put a little more sugar in the batter, and they call it a pronto pup. If you get away from here, it's a corn dog. So
Okay.
yeah.
See, always learning, always learning. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
Well, I've got my stickers, of course. You know, they have my logo on it. I give those out more than I do business cards these days because, and Erin that you had on previously, she designed my logo.
Oh, wow. Cool.
That's a whole nother story we can get into. But when I came back from Australia on that trip, I knew I had to get a logo, and I sent her an idea. And what I sent her was not what she sent back. I sent her an idea, and it was kind of an animated ninja guy with a beard, and she sent that logo back that was actually me. You know, with the beard, the sunglasses, and the stars, and the bandana. And I was like, bingo, drop the mic. That's it. That's what we're going with. But that, and also a few years ago, I got to get them remade. Royal Oak made a bandana for me, and it had my logo on it and had Royal Oak on the side. And I gave that out to a lot of kids. I love seeing them. They put, the bandana on, and they do a ninja move or a chop or a kick or something. I love seeing that. So those are really two things I love to give out.
That's cool. Last question. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say and why?
Get out there and cook.
Absolutely.
I mean, just like I said earlier, the only wrong way to do it is not do it at all. Get out there and cook.
Awesome, Craig. Well, thank you so much for being on, man. How can people find you online?
Man, you can find me on social media, Instagram at the BBQ Ninja, TikTok at the BBQ Ninja. My Facebook page is the BBQ Ninja, and Twitter is the_BBQ_Ninja. So yeah, you can follow me on all that, and man, it's a cool ride. We didn't even talk about my redneck stuff with alligator hunting and flame throwing alligators. That'll be for another time, man.
We can do it again for sure, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, bud. Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved.
Old Virginia.